where you scream to watch that, watch this, and I'll dive down through this hairy flesh.
Hi, and welcome to Watch This. I'm CJ Johnson. Thanks for joining me. Hidden Figures is a huge success. It's made over $100 million in the United States alone. It's nominated for Best Picture at the upcoming Academy Awards. It's just opened in Australia, and it's really good. Actor and academic Miriam Capper has joined me today to talk about the film in detail. Hidden Figures opened in Australia this week. It's one of the 9 films nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
You have identification on?
We're just on our way to work at NASA, sir.
I had no idea they hired.
There are quite a few women working in the space program.
You know what we're doing here? We're putting a human on top of a missile, shooting him into space, and it's never been done before.
Actor and academic Miriam Capper saw the film last night. I saw it about a week ago. She's joined me on the couch on Watch This. Hi, Miriam. How are you?
Hi, CJ. Well, thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on Watch This.
Thanks for having me.
What did you think of this film about black women working for NASA in the early 1960s?
I really loved it, CJ. I feel like it was so heartwarming and really pertinent in the world that we're in at the moment, with Oscars so white, having 3 female African-American women up there in such a beautiful film.
Yeah. It's interesting. It is great for the Oscars so white thing that we've got Hidden Figures, we've got a film like Moonlight,
Right.
we've got a film like Fences. Like, there's a lot of strong, at least black American faces on screen and behind the camera this year at the Oscars. Interestingly about this film, you've got a group of African American women working for NASA as the computers,
Right.
which is a funny thing. They were called, and not in a derogatory fashion, their jobs were known as computers in the same way that accountants account and actors act. They were computers who computed, and
Right.
of course that phrase now sounds weird because we've got machines called computers.
Yep.
But we've got this group of them, about 30 of them, and then we've got 3 that we focus on, played by Janelle Monáe, Octavia Spencer, and Taraji P Henson. And then of those 3, one of them is actually the lead, which is Taraji P Henson's character. How did you feel that panned out for you? Would you have preferred more focus on the singular, or did you enjoy how they split it up among the 3?
Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. I was shocked how much they could fit into the one film. I feel like each of those characters had a really strong story arc. And yeah, there was definitely more of a focus on the Catherine Goebel character, but I thought that was really good. It really tied me to the film, and I felt like there was heart in every single one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they all have their moments of triumph.
Absolutely. They have their moments of struggle, they have their moments with their family, you can see them working in their jobs. I feel like that's just so thorough there. Yeah. But I found that moment of triumph that I thought was actually the most moving was probably the one that is going to be least recognised, where the supervisory role comes through.
Yeah,
when you
I know
see,
the one you mean.
Yeah,
Don't spoil it.
Right.
Yeah.
Octavia Spencer, just being able to hold herself in this manner where you see so much coming through, but so little changing in her face, I thought was so beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting because the various moments of triumph, and I would say there's more than 3.
Right.
There's like 5 moments of triumph. You know, 5 moments when you literally get goosebumpy and feel like, you know, giving a little clap.
Yes.
And there's space throughout the film. Like, the film is cleverly structured because they're not all at the end. You know, there's one of them, one of the major ones. In fact, Taraji P Henson's one comes about halfway through the film. So it's
Yeah.
nice. You're constantly on this drip feed of triumph.
Yes, yeah. And at the same time, on the drip feed of seeing the challenges that these women were going through at the times with the different racial and, feminist problems that they were coming across. So you could always see them coming up and down, but it did build towards some really fantastic scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved the fact that in each triumph for these people, they triumph for women, for black people, and therefore, by addition, for black women.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not just for black women, because they're breaking the colour barrier and
Yes.
the sexism barrier at the same time, and then the confluence of that is black women. You know,
Yeah.
it's quite remarkable.
And to think it's all within the context of this reaching for the stars and going to the sky, I think that is just, how can you get those metaphors more perfectly meshed? I think it's amazing.
That's a good point. That's
Yeah.
true. I love, you know, that obviously they were mathematicians, and it's really fantastic in the same way that with Moonlight, a film I know you haven't seen, we saw a black man teaching a black boy to swim in the ocean, which is something we don't often see on film. We don't often see black American characters portrayed as mathematicians, you know,
No.
which was fascinating. And of course, I guess with NASA, you've really got an enormous amount of white male faces wearing white shirts to sort of juxtapose them against.
Definitely. And I think that's the other thing about NASA at the time. It's this microcosm of society. People have come from all around the world, not just in this one area that's quite still a bit backwards in their thinking. So you've got these very different challenging personalities and their views on race and feminism as well. But you're right, with the costumes and the music, everything really showed that difference between them and everyone else.
And that's a good point that you bring up. We've seen a lot of movies where hicks and rednecks and idiots are racist. But what you've got here is the most intelligent people in America, or at least the best people at mathematics in America, and the world, indeed. One of the major characters is Polish. Because, of course, NASA got all the Europeans, after the war. And the way that their quote-unquote racism isn't that kind of hick, hillbilly, redneck, ignorant racism. It's more the racism of the time, and it's way deeper and weirder and stranger because it's intelligent people who just don't know yet, who haven't progressed enough yet because America is still too young.
And it's scary to see that because if we were in those times, we would probably be those people as well. And then you think about in the future, who are we compared to who we may be? I think that's really interesting question.
Oh, absolutely.
Too. Yeah.
If we survive as a planet, when the future looks back on us, we will still look very unprogressive, I think.
Absolutely, I'm sure that we will.
A planet full of racists
still.
But
especially in the feminist era at the time as well. There's the whole thing of white women moving forward without black women, and you can really see that I think with Kirsten Dunst's character, where she is having so much trouble allowing any black woman to have more authority. So even the way it works is white man, white woman, and then black woman. It's interesting when those things start switching.
Yes, that's true. Like Kirsten Dunst occasionally helps try and comfort the black female characters by saying, look, you might only get to here, but I can only get to here, because we're still all women. You just happen to be black women, so you're further down. And of course, by the end of the movie, ba-bing!
Yeah, which is beautiful.
Now, I checked out the film for historical accuracy. All the black female stories are about as accurate as Hollywood filmmaking gets. Like, they're really very accurate, which is great. All the white characters are composites.
Right.
So I don't know whether... I know in one case they approached someone who ended up being the composite that Kevin Costner plays.
Right.
And that person refused to sell his life rights to the film. So maybe he was afraid of being portrayed as, the ignorant / racist guy, although Kevin Costner's character is actually a big hero in the film. But maybe it was simply that those women are the stories they had to tell, and the Jim Parsons and Kirsten Dunst and Kevin Costner characters had to be composites because those women worked there for years, and they really were composites. To have split the roles up would have made the film less dramatic.
Right.
But it is interesting that Kevin Costner, I mean, he does play kind of a hero, but Kirsten Dunst, who's a big star, and Jim Parsons, who is probably wealthier than anyone else on the film because he's been with The Big Bang Theory for so long. He'd be on that, mega syndication money, have been willing to play kind of, not very nice characters.
I think it's great, and I think especially for someone like Kirsten Dunst, who nearly always plays this very lovable blonde, and now she's moving into this new realm. I think that it was really beautiful. Like, I think it's very difficult to be able to, if you would include all of the white characters that they were composites of, then you'd end up be telling a completely different story. So I think in order to focus on those three women, it's really important. But yeah, someone like Kirsten Dunst, I think, did an amazing job of being someone who felt like they were a really upstanding citizen, and were trying to just hold their place in society. And the Jim Parsons character too, I think, being someone who was trying to maintain his role by pushing others down, I think is such a problem in that kind of area.
And I don't want to spoil anything, but the way his story ends, which is with a physical gesture, was beautiful. And and I think it was emblematic of the director Theodore Melfi's approach to the whole film, which was, to my mind at least, he never hammered you over the head with the triumphant moments or the successes. He does not bring out all the strings. It is not bombastic. I feel it's like the movie Lion, which also has a bunch of moments of great triumph, but it doesn't hammer you over the head with them. Like, I feel like this is still a relatively small scale film. I think it's a $25 million film,
Right.
and it's more independent than Hollywood studio. And I feel like if this had been a $100 million Hollywood studio, it could have been very bad.
It didn't feel ridiculous.
Yeah.
It didn't. And even with the music as well, I felt like it played so well into it. And I guess having Hans Zimmer and Pharrell Williams, you can't get a better team than that in order to make it amazing. But I feel like the Hollywood moments did feel a little Hollywood. But
Did they?
For me, but at the same time, I still felt that it was very authentic. I felt a genuine connection to each of those moments, and I never felt it was overdone, but it did feel very much like, could this possibly be real? Because this is so beautiful.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one moment which has to do with Tarji P Henson's character and John Glenn that I won't go further because I don't want to spoil. But I was just like, oh my God, this couldn't have happened. And I went and found out it happened.
Yes.
That happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, which also made me think it's incredible that this story has never come to the screen before.
Absolutely. Because who is it? Is the woman who wrote the story is the daughter of someone who was working at NASA, is that right?
I think I think that's my idea. Well, basically, it took someone to write the book for someone to make the movie. And that book wasn't written until, a few years ago. That's
right. So what an amazing movie it is too.
Oh, I mean, just what a story. And that's the thing. The story is just so fantastic that I think the director does well to sort of step out of its way and just let the actors tell a story and the story tell a story and never go too heavy.
No, it doesn't feel overcrowded, which is so surprising with the amount of content that's in there.
Yeah.
So.
And also that's why they had to do composite characters. Like, just literally the film would have been overcrowded if it was accurately depicting all those people.
Yeah.
Because I understand, like, there were so many more people in all of those rooms. You know what I mean? Like, the room that Tarji P Henson is working in was bigger with more people, and it was...
Yeah, I heard there were thousands of black computers at the time, Yeah,
thousands?
Yes,
really?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
But their numbers aren't clear, obviously, because the records wouldn't have been skewed to favour African-American people anyway, so... Yeah.
Now, some people are suggesting that Tarji P Henson, who is famously a massive actor, and by massive I mean scenery-chewing actor on her show Empire, does a little too much in this film. What did you think of her performance?
I didn't think that she did too much, but I feel like she almost stylized her performance to suit the era.
Right.
Which I feel like someone like Octavia Spencer, it was such a timeless performance, which I guess is why she's up for an Oscar nom as well. But it felt like she fit the era as well as making it so authentic. Whereas I feel like, I wonder if in 10, 15 years, we'll look back at Tarji Henson's performance and wonder, well, was it a bit overplayed for the time? But I felt it fit perfectly with the film and the story.
I thought she was terrific.
Yeah.
I thought she was really great, and I entirely bought her. And her character is really well set up in the first few minutes by seeing the flashbacks to her as a little girl, as a maths prodigy who wears the big glasses and who is completely unaware that she is actually the smartest person in any room she walks into ever.
I just wanted to see that story continue. When they switched to the adults, I was like, what happened? I wanted to see that, which is, I think, a real tribute to the film, that I almost wanted to see everything that happened within the gaps rather than just the interesting parts.
Yeah. Now, playing kind of the only really black male character of any real import in the film is Mahershala, I hope you're saying his name, Mahershala Ali, who's also in Moonlight.
Yep.
And in this, he kind of just has to be upstanding and wonderful and famously handsome, as was the real guy he's playing, who looks really quite similar to. He's a pretty handsome guy.
He's a very handsome guy. When he came on the screen, I was like, hello, who are you? But I think as well, he still did, as much as he played this very lovable character, he also came up with his own challenges of underestimating women in one of the scenes, which I thought was a really powerful moment. Not only is this woman, Catherine Goebel, played by...
Johnson, I think. Catherine Johnson?
Yes, that she changes her name within the film.
Oh, sorry, of course, that's right, yes.
So I think that was amazing that she, one, stood up to him, but was also willing to stand up to NASA. I think that just showed her empowerment within her personal relationships as well as within the world at large. But yeah, he did play a very, very lovable character. It was hard not to fall in love with him in this film.
Yeah, he was great. He'll probably win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Moonlight, which is the one he's nominated for. And I suspect over the next 4 or 5 years, it's kind of going to be all Mahershala Ali all the time.
That would not surprise me at all.
He's going to be offered everything, man.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it,
too.
CJ. But I also think, I wonder what those two actors think. I mean, being in both Moonlight and in this film here.
Him and Janelle Monáe.
Yes, I wonder whether they would prefer one to win Best Picture over the other. It'd be interesting to ask them. That should be your next thing, CJ.
Well, for both of them, their roles in in Hidden Figures, Janelle Monáe has, you know, one of the three leads, whereas in Moonlight she's a very, very small character.
Okay.
Whereas Mahershala Ali is a small character in Hidden Figures, but he's a big character in Moonlight. So he would want Moonlight to win. Janelle Monáe would want this one to win.
That makes sense. Yeah, good prediction.
I'm not sure this one is really in the running to ultimately win Best Film. I mean, I'm sure La La Land's going to win for a bunch of reasons.
Right.
But I think that this film just... It's a wonderful film and it's a beautiful film and I loved every minute of it, but I just don't think it's got a directorial stamp on it enough to win Best Picture. You know what I mean? It feels to me like because the director steps back so much and lets the story and lets the actors do their job, which is directing anyway, but it feels like any good director with a good budget could have directed it. Whereas La La Land and Moonlight, for example, and even Lion, they feel more artistic,
right?
As opposed to just great stories, well told.
Yeah, I see that. I guess I don't normally look at it from that perspective. I'm nearly always just looking at each individual performance from the actor. So I find it hard to see whether it's the director's influence or not, just because I don't come from that background. But I think, yeah, I can see what you mean, particularly with something like La La Land. You can see the performance is really stylized towards what that film is wanting to be. And
also just in every other aspect of direction, in terms of the shots and the choreography and the cameras and the production design and everything. I mean, those films are more obviously directed.
Sure.
This film, you don't actually see the handprint of the director, you know, whereas something like Moonlight and La La Land, you do.
Could that in a way make it better? Is it just something that is so, it feels so fluid and feels so perfect for the film that maybe the director's done that without trying to leave
it could to a certain segment of the Academy, there's no doubt. To those guys who are like, and they are guys, who are like over 80, who still make up, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 of the 6,000 Academy members who are all still voting. They love a traditional picture. Right. And this will get a lot of votes.
Sure.
This will get a lot of votes because it is that progressive film about black women doing well, but it's also super traditionally told, really. You know? I mean, Steven Spielberg could have directed this. Peter Jackson could have. Any of those big boys who just know how to use camera and sound well could have directed it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was there anything about it that you didn't like? Do you have any quibbles?
There was one moment where Octavia Spencer's character really conflicted with her boss at the time, the
Kirsten Dunst?
Yes. Oh, no. Kevin Costner's character.
Oh, right.
And I found that felt a little overdone, but I feel that it fitted well in the story.
Yeah.
I feel like I wonder if that really would have happened at the time. But I guess that's just me looking at the historical content instead of it working well with the story. But otherwise, no, I thought it was all really beautifully crafted. One moment
in a film, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Good.
Did you have any moments that you were not a fan of?
No, I really enjoyed this film. As I say, it wasn't, like, to me, out of 5 stars, it's a 4-star film. Like, I don't think it's unbelievably brilliant because I do think it just lacks that extra directorial flair that something, for example, like Jackie has. Yeah. But I still enjoyed every minute of it. And it is completely likable. Like, I challenge anyone, unless they're either so cold-hearted or unless they're basically a racist to dislike this movie. Like, how could you dislike it? It's
no one will dare say they dislike it now.
Yeah, now that we've said this, but also it's just so likable. I mean, it's just triumphant. Someone said to me, you know, is it a crying movie? And I'm like, no, it's not a crying movie. It's a clapping movie.
That's true. I have to say, though, I found it a crying movie because I like to cry in nearly every movie. I always find some kind of reason.
So do you cry when you get...
I think for me, it was even just seeing the raw facts at the end. Where as soon as they've put a truthful, honest, emotional story behind some facts and then just seeing the facts, you feel so proud of those individuals. I think it's really good. I think it's a nice way for us to see history because we can personalise it in this way. So.
And how nice that Katherine Johnston Goebbels lived till into her 90s.
Yes,
you know?
and was able to actually witness all this.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that's Hidden Figures. Obviously, you can tell from Miriam and myself, it's a watch this. Go see it. 3, 2, 1. Thanks for joining us on Watch This. Hidden Figures is currently playing in Australia and in cinemas worldwide. If you'd like to read my written reviews, check out www.filmmafia.com.au and make sure you watch other shows on Skippy TV, skipi.tv.
Go watch that, watch this, and I'll dive down.